Hi everybody, this is Silverin, and today I'm gonna walk you through my plus 18 Spires of Ascension times. Before we get into the dungeon itself, I'm gonna show you the route that I like to take for Spires of Ascension. This week's affixes are Raging, which when the mobs, non-boss mobs, reach 30% health, they're gonna do 50% increased damage. This is very important in this dungeon because that not only applies to physical hits or melee hits to the tank, it also applies to spell damage, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We have Explosive, which these explosive orbs will pop up. You need to kill them before the time runs out, or your party will suffer AoE damage. Fortified, all the non-boss mobs are stronger. And Tormented. There's 4 Tormentors in the dungeon. If you kill them, you'll get buffs to your party. If you don't kill them, it makes the final boss harder for everybody. So, going into Spires, these are my first 2 pulls. We do these 6 together. Normally I don't like to lust just because I like to lust on the bosses. We do this Goliath with this top pack here. Tormentor, pack before the first boss. We go left and grab this Skirmisher pack. I do not, with the Aether Divers, I do not do this Skirmisher pack, and I'll talk about that route change in a little bit. Standard, we do a right route coming through here. This double pull right here is because I am Kyrian. I can grab the spear, which is right here. It will stun whoever you put it on for 10 seconds and plus increase damage. So these packs patrol though, and if they don't line up well, if one is here and the other pack is all the way over here, and we can kill this pack before the other pack's going to run around, we do them separate, and I will use the spear on this pull with this squad leader, which can be very dangerous on a fortified week. Boss, you'll notice in the run through that we skip Sagadon. I think on fortified weeks this is okay. He only gives a defensive ability to your party, and since it's not tyrannical week, the boss really won't one-shot you. The tank hints aren't too hard with skipping Sagadon. It adds plus 50% physical damage to the boss, the final boss, and you can dodge a lot of her physical damage. So, and then coming up here, we pull these 2 together. You'll see how we get the Helion down a little bit before we pull in Arkaloth. This is a little tough just because they both do AoE damage. It's much easier when Varuth is here. So that's 2 dots on your party, and it does a lot of damage, as you'll see in the run. We skip this middle pack by running around the outside here, and then I like to do the pack at the top of the stairs. It's not a hard pack to do. You just need to hit the interrupts, which if you're a paladin or if you have a good CC in your group is easy. You don't have to worry about the skip and someone messing it up. And then you can pull Cold Heart right here. You don't have to try and pull them over here to the side. After this pack, you run straight. You do this pack, boss, up top for 3 angels, and final boss. Now, where this differs from a normal route, or what I would say the common Spires route is you would do this pack in addition to this pack on the left. Then you head right, and you get to skip this top pack here. So you would have to do this if you don't have a Demon Hunter to Imprison or a Priest of Mind Soothe. I think you can just do it with a mount and double jump over here. There's lots of guides on it. You can skip this pack. You have to be very careful pulling auras over to the corner here, and then you can do this pack, and you got to do the boss. And the other additional pack you'll need to do, so you're skipping this pack, will be this pack right here, which is an easy pack to do for percent. I highly recommend if you do the skip route that you do this pack before the boss. It's a little inefficient, but a lot of times people, as soon as they kill this boss, they just get in their heads, oh, let's automatically take the angels up top, and when that happens, you're left down here all by yourself to kill this pack, and it takes a long time. So, and yeah, so that's my route for Spires, and now we will get into the walkthrough. Alright, so let's get started with the dungeon. So right here, you'll see I pull the first 6 mobs. I tell everyone on the right to get behind that pillar on the right so we can line of sight these mobs and gather them up. What's important here is positioning, and you'll see I severely mispositioned. So currently there's 2 Forsworn Vanguards in this pack. And what they do is they do an AoE frontal cleave. You can see the melee just got smacked there. I mispositioned these really bad. They're focused both ways, and you'll see the melee die there. He got hit by 2 AoE frontal cleaves. Definitely something I need to work on in the future. Keep in mind when you're taking this pack. So the Mender is the highest priority here. Normally the DPS focus him down. He casts Forsworn Doctrine, which is a massive heal on another mob, so that is a high priority interrupt. And then the Castigators, there are 2 of them in this pack. They cast 2 spells. Dark Lash, which is a spell that will hit the tank, so it is good to interrupt, but is a little low priority. And then they cast Burden of Knowledge, which hits a random player. High priority interrupt because the DPS just don't have as much health as you, and if it hits them, it applies a dot to them in addition, so it's really going to hurt, especially during raging weeks. So if they cast that spell when they're below 30% health, that spell will do an additional 50% damage, which will probably one-shot your DPS. So very important casting. As you can see here, we're going up. We have our Goliath, which casts Rebellious Fists. That is an AoE damage to the entire party if it goes off. High priority interrupt. You'll probably wipe if one of those goes off. So normally I will take all the Rebellious Fists and then I will assign DPS to the Castigator and the Mender. As you can see here, we have Mender, Forsworn Doctrine, very important to interrupt. We have the Castigator, Burden of Knowledge, very important to interrupt. We also have explosives. I don't want to say it's everyone's job to get explosives, but I would prioritize the healer and the tank to get explosives because we won't interrupt the DPS as much in their rotation. And for a Paladin, you can hit the explosive with like Avenger Shield, and it just gives you another proc on your shield. You can melee it. You can also target it with your Hammer of the Righteous. So you have a lot of options to get the explosives if you're in position. And the healer, we have Resto Druid who's casting Moonfire. So, after we finish, well, we'll have a little break before we get to the next mob. I'll talk about the Paladin Talents that we went with this week. So the talents we went with, Holy Shield, because that gives you a chance to block spells. And since there are a ton of spells cast in this dungeon, a lot of Dark Lashes, we went with that with a chance to block the Dark Lash and take the damage down. First Avenger extends our Avenger Shield to hit 5 targets instead of 3. Extra damage, extra shields, extra interrupts. Well, not extra interrupts, but more AoE threat control. Went with Fist of Justice, reduces the cooldown on our single target stun down to 30 seconds, which will help us just keep more CC on the high priority mobs like the Menders and the Cascaders, Inquisitors. Unbreakable Spirit makes us more defensive. Divine Purpose for the 15% chance for free Holy Power procs. Consecrated Ground, because since it's raging, some of these mobs are going to hit super hard when they're below 30%, and you're going to need to kite. That 50% slow from Consecrated Ground is a big advantage. And then finally, Righteous Protector, which gives us our wings on a 1-minute cooldown essentially. We're going to have it up for every pack, do extra damage, extra healing. It's going to be great. So, Baruth is a pretty straightforward tormentor. When he does Wave of Terror, you want to stack, and then after that you want to spread out when he targets somebody. And I recommend you take the Thorns damage power to help you do more damage in the dungeon. So in this pack, it's very similar. No new mobs that we haven't pulled before. You interrupt the Goliath. We need to interrupt the heal on the Mender. We need to interrupt Burden of Knowledge on the Castigator. Those are the 3 priorities, with Goliath being first, the heal on the Mender, Forsworn Doctrine being second, and then Burden of Knowledge being third. And then we can let the Dark Lashes go through as needed. So, and then, like I said, normally with these packs, you prioritize the Mender. You get him down. You get rid of the highest priority interrupt. When the Goliath has a shield, you might as well just focus all the other mobs. And you can see here I am working on explosives with the healer in order to take care of those and make sure we don't have the AoE going off in any group. So, and you can see my health dropped a minute ago. One of the mobs is raging and definitely got hit by something. So, So we probably should have prioritized the damage on the Goliath more and not focused on the Mender here. Definitely wasting some time bringing that single target down. You never want to be in an environment where you're killing a single target. And so now we're going to the first boss. So we lust on pull. This buff, the health of these two is shared. The Kintara is going to do a couple abilities. The major one is she's going to do a slash on you, which you want to have a defensive up when it comes. It hurts overhead slash. And then she's going to throw a spear at someone. And whoever has that spear needs to get out of melee range and put it off to the corner. You'll see we definitely misposition a couple in this fight because anyone in that spear is going to take damage and over time, and it's going to really hurt your party. So she'll fly into the air. That's when she throws the spear. So as far as the bird goes, so the bird's going to run around, and right here you can see cast the 3 dark orbs out of the front. You just need to make sure you are in the back. You can see here I put the spear off to the side. However, I put the spear right where one of the 4 spots, the bird kind of goes in those 4 corners. The bird's going to go. So that's going to be a problem, I think, in a couple minutes. So anyway, because you can cleave the 2 together, you want to try to put the mobs, the 2 together when you can. What we did here, unfortunately, is you see that beam between the 2 of them. Now, if you pass through that beam, or any of your teammates pass through that beam, they're going to get a shadow dot that's going to do damage over time for 10 seconds, and it's a pretty big dot. It can also, unfortunately, stack. So if they stay in there, or anyone stays in there, there can be a lot of damage coming. So as a tank, you kind of want to get these 2 together as fast as you can. Unfortunately, paladins are very slow, and you need to face your mob because Kintara is going to do the overhead slash as you're walking, and if you're not facing her, you have no chance to block and no damage reduction. So right there, I horribly mispositioned with the bird, you can see, but the team takes care of it here, and so some big things for me to work on in that fight, but hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, and it didn't come in a full team wipe. If you wipe on a boss, it pretty much means a no time for the key. But as you can see, this is an 18, and we're going to have a couple deaths throughout the dungeon, and we still time it with a lot of time to spare. So Spires is definitely a great dungeon, especially because there's some weapons you can use to carry him. Over here, we have some new mobs. So the Ether Divers will cast a spell. It does damage over time on the tank. Interrupt when you can. Obviously, it's going to do damage. It's not the highest priority interrupt, but if you have all 3 of them casting and they're raging, there you can see Insidious Venom hit me hard. It can put you in a bad spot. And then the Skirmisher right there does 2 things. They're going to hurl a spear, and it's going to hit random targets. So they can be hard CC'd, which is very important when they get under 30% health in this dungeon, because they're probably going to hurl the spear at a DPS, and if they do that, your DPS might be able to take 1, but they're not going to be able to take 2. And if they take 2, they're going to die. So hard CC that under 30%. They also jump back, so you want to make sure you tank them in a corner. So, all right, the next mob is these the Stealth Claws and the Praetor. The Stealth Claws are invisible, and you need to expose them with AoE before they pop out, or when they pop out, they will stun you for 2 seconds and do damage. It really sucks. So definitely, in my case, I used Blessing of Protection. It prevents me from taking any physical damage. I ran around, revealed them all, pull them together, and then pull in the Praetor. So as you can see here, I start kiting. These Stealth Claws apply, when they hit you, they apply physical damage, and they apply a bleed that will stack. As you can see up in the right corner, they hurt, and especially when they're raging, when they're below 30% health, they're gonna hurt a lot. So we just kite back. We do have 2 melee in the group. The hunter is a survival hunter, so just a slow kite, prevent as much damage as we can. Unfortunately, the Praetor is casting Dark Seeker when you're away from him, which is some shadow damage on you. he can be hard CC'd. He also dashes. Anyone in his dash takes damage. You can see right there. I think 3 of us took damage. So it's definitely a mob you want to spread out for. But it's not too difficult to deal with. So that pull definitely could have been cleaner. I probably could have grouped them together a little better, and in addition to hard CC and the Praetor, and but overall, if those stealth claws, you're gonna have to kite. So this mob right here, nothing you haven't seen. The Praetor, which you can hard CC. The stealth claw can be hard CC'd, and the Ether Diver is your only interrupt, so you might as well get all the interrupts you can, prevent the most damage. This probably could be combined with the next pack. I haven't worked up to that yet, but I know in higher keys that's something that we'll have to do. But right now, for an 18, we're not having issues with time or anything, so we go ahead and just do this because the next pack has 2 Goliaths in it, and this is very important. So because you're a Paladin, you have multiple kicks. You're going to take 1 Goliath, and you're going to organize your DPS to take the other Goliath. You have to hit the Rebellious Fists. If 2 of these go off, you're going to wipe. So I take non-Skull. I tell my DPS to take Skull. If you're in a pug, you're going to need to type out, I got the kicks on Goliath 1. You guys, please kick Goliath 2. And then say, hey, Shaman, you kick first. Hunter, you kick second. Third Hunter, back me up in case I miss something. If you're another tank that only has a basic interrupt, and because the Goliath cannot be hard CC'd, then you're going to need to split a 2 DPS on 1 Goliath, yourself, and the DPS on the second Goliath, and make sure you get all those kicks. Yeah, if the Rebellious Fist went off when he's below 30%, it's game over. Definitely a wipe. Not saying you wouldn't be able to come back from it and not time the dungeon, but this is one of the you just have to be organized with that pull right there. So right here, I am grabbing the Kyrian Spear. You have to be Kyrian to do that. So if as a tank, if you're not Kyrian and you have someone in your party, please ask them to grab the spear. It's going to stun and it lets you do extra damage to the pack that you stun. And then here you can see we got Ether Divers, interrupt them. They're the only interrupt, so you might as well do it. The Praetor is going to run, apply damage to anyone he runs through. He can be hard CC to keep him in one place. That's a good thing to use your stun on, especially when he's below 30%. And then on pulls like this, where they're really not that hard, you should try to focus your Avenger Shield and your AoE to hit the explosives as well as the mob, and that just helps your healer out. Your hero can put out a little more damage, heal more people, and since you're not that busy, it's just something you can do as a tank. Alright, so we have a champion here, and a champion is essentially just a mender. He's going to cast, I believe it's called Force Wound Doctrine. It will heal someone, and yeah, right there, Force Wound Doctrine. High priority interrupt. You have the skirmisher who's randomly throwing that spear, so hard CC on them, especially when they're below 30% on a raging week. And the Ether Divers interrupt when you can. With the Venom, it's going to apply that dot to you, but overall the champion is a priority, and that's why we ended up focusing the champion down there. So going into the next pull, you need to be really careful. If you don't feel comfortable doing a double pull, you need to make sure you pull the Goliath pack all the way down the stairs. Both of these packs pat, so you have the Goliath pack right there, and you can see a 5-pack of Ether or a 4-pack of Ether Divers coming in from the end. Because we feel confident and we had all our DPS cooldowns up, we spear this pack. When you spear this pack, the #1 priority target is the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor right there casts Infernal Strife, which is on 2 random party members. It will also make those party members burst AoE shadow damage to the entire party if they're within 3 yards. So it's extremely important that you interrupt Infernal Strife. and then you need to interrupt Rebellious Fist. And as you can see, we took a lot of damage in this pack. This pull would not have been possible without the spear. So if you don't have a Kieran in your party, I would not recommend doing a double pull here. But because we were able to get it off, it saves a minute, and that's just a minute more we have at the end. Make the dungeon easier, and there you go. So some rounds skip this pack right here. It's 2. It's not very efficient, but since we're doing it, it will give me time to talk about the squad leader. So the squad leader is very important to focus down. They do that AoE dash right there, where if you're in that zone, you're going to get hurt. So don't be in that zone. And then more importantly, they give damage reduction to any mobs that are near them. So it's you're wasting damage if you're focusing another mob while a squad leader is nearby. So you need to get that squad leader down first. Unfortunately, the squad leader is like not doing the most damage to you and stuff, so you want to get those other high priority mobs down. But in the end, it's going to slow your pull down a lot, and you're probably going to take a lot more damage if you don't kill the squad leader first. And you'll see that in the next pull as we go over with the angels. So Spires of Ascension is one of those dungeons where if you don't have all the mobs killed, these angels right here to take you to the next platform are not going to show up. On this platform right here, if you skip that squad leader pack, you can actually jump off the side as far as you can, and there's a little tornado that will bring you to this side over here. So because we use the spear on that double pull, we are CCing the champion, so it's one less interrupt we have to hit, and that way we can absolutely make sure we get all those infernal strifes on the Inquisitor. Because this has a squad leader, we need to burn that squad leader down to remove the damage reduction. It's very important, and we need to make sure we hit all the infernal strife interrupts on the Inquisitor. So definitely the high priority here. This can be a very dangerous pull. If we had the spear, if we ended up on that double pull, we ended up just doing them one at a time, I definitely would have speared this pack and not CC'd the champion. You can see we're definitely going to waste some time, and I am, as a tank, I want to pull the squad leader and the Inquisitor over to the Dark Praetor for the cleave. It's a very chaotic pull though, so I definitely messed that up. And as you can see, the Praetor has a ton of health, so essentially we're wasting 30 seconds on this pull because now we have to do the champion and the Praetor after essentially all the mobs are dead. Very inefficient. I definitely need to work on this, but we did save time doing that double pull earlier, so it's something that isn't going to hurt us too much. And again, so the champion is just like a Mender. Forsworn Doctrine is a massive heal. It would basically heal the Praetor up to like 80%. So you definitely want to interrupt that. And then after this champion, we're going to go into the first boss. So because it is a Fortified week, and because of Sagadon's placement there on the left, we are going to skip Sagadon this week. Sagadon only offers defensive powers. So the one you normally take gives you a 20% HP shield, I think, every minute, every 60 seconds. And because it's just a defensive power, and because skipping him only adds a plus 50% physical buff to the last boss, and it's not Tyrannical week, I think it's okay, especially since the last boss in this dungeon only does 2 physical damage. You're going to have tank melee hits, and then you're going to have something called a run through, and we'll go through that. And if you can dodge those run throughs, which you should be able to do, and hopefully your DPS and healer can dodge too, then skipping Sagadon is good. It'll save you a minute and put you in a good spot. So so this last boss, as you can see, he does Dark Stride, and initially he drops 2 black orbs after each Dark Stride. After that, as a tank, you want to pull him across the room, because he's going to go into a recharge phase where you can see those shadow orbs. They're going out. In his recharge phase, those shadow orbs are going to go crazy, as you just saw. So after 2 Dark Strides, you want to make sure you pull him across the room. That's going to give you more room more room to dodge those shadow orbs, and it's especially important because if your DPS gets hit by a shadow orb, it'll knock them up to the air. They can't do DPS, do a massive amount of damage to them. And then it could be enough damage, especially if they get hit by 2 in a row, that they will die. Obviously, you don't want to do that on the boss. So, overall, though, with that boss, Lust on Pull, very straightforward. Other than that, as a tank, after the 2 Dark Strides, make sure you pull them across the room to give you space for the recharge phase, and it's just a DPS race from there. So, we didn't talk about lusts in this dungeon. I like to lust the boss. I definitely find them, even on Fortified weeks, I like to lust 1, 2, and 4 bosses. A lot of people do a bigger pull in that first 6-pack we pulled in the beginning. They'll pull the Goliath in and lust that pack, which is very efficient. But I like lusting the bosses with the team comps that I run. So here I do the Helion with, we'll pull Arkaloth in a little bit. Both the Helion and Arkaloth have AoE damage abilities for the entire party. So if you pull in both at the same time, it's just a lot of extra healing that the healer needs to do. So you're going to see, if you look at the health bars on the right, they're all going down at the same time. Our party now has 2 dots, so it's going to be a little dangerous. A lot of people skip the Helion with a different route, but just to keep the route simplistic, I like to do it. And once you get the Helion down, the pull goes a lot easier. So Arkaloth, he has 3 main things. He's going to do an AoE fire dot to everyone. We just have to heal through. He's gonna place patches of flame underneath the farthest away ranged person, so they're gonna have to move out of the way. And then he has a extremely important interrupt, Inferno. If you do not interrupt it, it does massive AoE damage to the entire party, and you will probably wipe. So you have to make sure you get every one of those interrupts. Now, the interrupt cycle is, I believe that gets cast like every 10 seconds, so it's going to be a little lower than the cooldown on your basic interrupt. So if you're a Paladin, you can hold your Avenger Shield, and you have your counters, and you have your Rebuke, so you can easily get all the interrupts yourself. If you're not a Paladin and your interrupt is on like a 14-second cooldown, you're going to need one of your DPS to get one of the interrupts. Alright, so the pack at the top of the stairs. A lot of people skip this pack to the right, jumping over the stairs. I do it because I like to keep things simplistic. I don't want any issues skipping that pack where you pull it and you basically fail a key. So I think it's one of those things where this makes the dungeon harder, but if you messed up the skip, you will fail the dungeon, or you won't time the dungeon. So I like to make things a little harder and have my best chance of timing the dungeon, especially in a bug environment. And with this group right here, we don't have any, we don't have a Demon Hunter, we don't have a Priest to Mind Soothe, so the only way we would skip is Invisibility Pot, or like you get like a double mount, you can jump over the side, and it's a pain in the butt. So, plus, you see where Auro's Coldheart is right now? On Tyrannical weeks, Sagadon will be there, and Sagadon pulls tanks in if they're too far away. So it's extremely hard to pull Sagadon out, and as a tank you can mess it up when he's in the position of Auro's Coldheart. So by doing this pack, you just make your life easier as a tank. We lost DPS there. I think it was a spell went off that we didn't interrupt when they were enraged. But overall, that pack, you've seen all the mobs before. You need to interrupt the forced doctrine of the Mender, or this Mender is greater healing. You don't have to worry about the Dark Lashes so much, but interrupt the Burden of Knowledges, and then you have to interrupt the Rebellious Fist from the Goliath. So, Coldheart has a frontal that you want to avoid, and then he has a, as you can see, just puts so much AoE crap. So you definitely want to fight him in an area where you have some room to move. So you can avoid the frontal. He slows everyone down by 50%, so it's just hard to move around. As a Paladin, you can cast Blessing of Freedom on someone. I should have been casting Blessing of Freedom on some of my melee DPS to help them move out of the way, or maybe your healer to help them move out of the way. I didn't in that case. That's something Definitely, you know, I need to work on. I also should have been casting Blessing of Sacrifice on my healer whenever I can, just to keep him alive in case there's a mistake or something like that. So this is the last pack we need to pull before we go up top to get percentage. As a tank, you want to pull them all in. I line of sight that explosive, so it's not going to hit me. And then once you have them grouped, your DPS can come. If they come too early, all of these mobs right here throw spears at random, and they will target your DPS, and if they get hit by 2 spears while they're running in, they will probably die. So it's best to just tell your DPS, please wait until I say go. That's essentially what I say. And then you group them all up, you DPS them down. It's going to take 5 extra seconds for you to group them. Hopefully your DPS, and if your DPS dies, you're going to lose 5 seconds anyway. So much more advantageous to tell your DPS to wait until you get the signal on that pull right there, and it's easy to line of sight them and group them up. So, third boss of the dungeon, there's a couple things. He does a charge stomp on you, which is an AOE hit. Hopefully no melee are right next to you, and they're on the backside of the boss. The DPS, or everyone but the tank, is going to get focused by this essentially shot. It's an AoE. They just need to step out of the way right there. Purifying Blast. Step out of the way before it hits them. And then he's going to drop Imperial Ordnance right here. You want to stack. Leaves an Anima Field behind. You want to pull him out of the Anima Fields. The Anima Fields, the AoE damage, and they would give him increased damage, and I believe heal him. I'm not sure. But the other most important thing with this boss, he's going to go into a recharge phase when he reaches 0 energy. You can see I have his power right there. And during this phase, he takes an extra 100% damage. So you want your DPS to go nuts, use all their cooldowns before this fight. Say, please save your cooldowns for the recharge phase. Very important. You do double the damage. Hugely efficient to do that. And as a paladin, all those blue orbs, you do not want them to get to the boss. They will heal him and make him do more damage. So I have Divine Shield. I was able to tank all those. And because I have ranged abilities, I could still do damage to the boss during the recharge phase. If you're another tank, just hit one of your big defensives. You can tank them. We do have hunters. I could ask them to use their turtle essentially to tank some of for me, but I really wanted them to focus on DPS, and as a paladin I can deal with everything, so I might as well deal with everything. So other than that, it's straightforward. If it takes a tyrannical weeks, if he takes a long time to die, he's going to go through another recharge phase. Again, you just need to make sure he's never in those Anima Fields, especially when he's recharging. That could lead to a wipe. So if you did a different route, you probably would pull that other Angel pack on the right, group them up, AoE them down. I recommend you pull that before the boss. Main reason being, you see after the boss, everyone runs straight to the Angel to go up. Well, you're really the only one that's keeping track of the percentage. You can see my percentage on the side, 88.07%. I know each Angel's like 4.2%, so 3 Angels, that's going to put us at 100%. We're good to go. But let's say I need to pull that other pack. If you're in a PoV environment, sometimes the DPS, they just take the Angel straight to the top, and you would think, oh my gosh, this late into the season, really? It's just an automatic reflex sometimes. So I highly recommend getting all your trash before pulling the third boss and going to the top. So, alright, the 3 Angels up top. You'll see in MDI they pull all 3 of these Angels at once, and in order to do that, you have to kill them within 5 seconds of each other. No thanks. It's not happening. Alright. So we pull the middle Angel first because the middle Angel is super simple. All you have to do is keep it in one place, face it away from your party, and she's going to cast a spell, Dinuendo maybe, and you just need to, you'll see right here, when she casts, I move out of the way so I don't take damage, bam. So I'm taking no damage, super easy Angel to deal with. She applies like a dot on you. We take more damage. Keep an eye on that. There's nothing really you can do about it. So anyway, so we pull center, then we pull left, which is Astronos. So Astronos has a new ability. She is going to do Charge Spear. Plus she gets the ability from the previous Angel. So each Angel will buff the next Angel as you kill them. That's why we recommend doing it center, left, right. So Charge Spear is going to put that black circle down, you can see, and it's going to send those shadow orbs out in 4 cardinal directions from the spear. So it's very important as a tank that you place Astronos in a position where you're not getting hit. So you can see right there, we were safe from the first charge spear, but the second charge spear she cast, not safe, and it hit some of my melee DPS. So I pull him back. She cast a third charge spear. This position looks pretty good to me. We will see how it goes. Yeah, so that's good. So the second angel is really about managing the charge spear casts. And since it's a fortified week, these mobs are a lot harder. And probably harder than the final boss. So now the third angel is now buffed doubly from those 2 angels. It's going to have a charge spear on it. It's going to have that frontal when it does a dash. So that second spear we picked up, after the second boss, when we got to the new platform, we picked up this second spear because I'm carrying, and we use it on this third angel so we can just get a lot of DPS in. You want to tell, especially on fortified weeks, you want your DPS to use all their cooldowns here. They'll have them up for like the 3rd phase of the boss, and to get this angel down. So right there, you can see that's the frontal. You want to make sure the angel is faced away from your party when she casts that, because that will essentially one-shot absolutely everyone. And then she's going to cast Charge Spear. You can see right behind her. And then there you go. She's doing the frontal. We did a great job DPSing her. Also, one thing, after you kill these angels, you want to be aware of your surroundings, because the Charge Spears on the ground can do one final cast even after the mob is dead. And that unfortunately has killed some of us in the past. So something to keep in mind. They'll just let your guard down right away. So what we're doing here, we have a lot of time. I died earlier. I never ate, so I get my well-fed buff back. If you're curious on what consumables I use and stuff, I put a guide out for that. It was my first video ever, so in that guide I go through everything how I build my Paladin, gear, talents, DPS rotations, stuff like that. So if you're interested, it's up there on my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Again, this is my first video ever. So, alright, so Devos has a couple of abilities, and she's a 3-phase fight. So this is the first phase. She casts Run Through, which is a physical damage. It will chunk people if they don't get out of the way. I mean, that's just on everybody's job to get out of the way. The ideal thing is for everyone to stand vertically near the wall, so she runs to the wall and it's a short distance, so melee aren't running all over the place to try and get to her to do more damage. That is not the ideal placement where she runs that far. The second ability is Lost Confidence. You can see the 2 black shadow void zones on the ground. Whoever that's on will hopefully can get out of the way when it goes off. It's on you for like 5 seconds or 6 seconds before it goes off. And then the third ability is you saw that blue circle on the ground. When she casts, we'll go through that in the next phase, but essentially when she channels her spell, you get in that blue circle or you will instantly die. So this is the second phase. You need to go around and collect all the blue orbs. Everyone needs to bring them to the center, and then normally as you as a tank, you get this spear, and you need to hit her in the air with the spear. And she moves left and right, so you want her to move, target, hit her. And you'll see, I think the next spear is like perfect. Okay, and now we repeat the first phase. We lust on the second phase here. You can see we just popped lust, so we're just burning her down there. So there you see the run through. Here, she's going to do that abysmal detonation. You want to be in that blue circle. Again, be super careful. Wild Spirits is also blue. And I have been known from time to time to go into Wild Spirits instead of going into that pretty blue circle right there. So, explosives can still spawn, and because she runs through, they can spawn far away. So as having the range, your judgment and your Vengeance Shield, you can deal with that. So keep that in mind. Again, during this phase, and the more you hit by these black swirlies, it applies a dot to you that will stack. So avoid those, but you go around, you collect those blue orbs. She moved right away, so I knew, boom, instantly I could hit the spear. But if you don't see her move, I highly suggest you wait until she moves, then you aim, then you hit the spear. If you miss the spear, you have to collect all those blue orbs again and orbs again, and it will really add time and a ton of extra damage the more you're in that phase. So avoid the run through. She's gonna cast Abyssal Detonation again, get in the blue circle, and if you have lost confidence on you, put it off to the side. We have all our trash, so he's got to finish the boss, and there you go. We finished the boss. We had 3 minutes left, and that's my walkthrough of the 18 Spires of Ascension. Thanks for watching.